All right, Sports Bash Live. Tuesday with Thompson. The PT is in the house. Yes, text message in is the key to the Sixers process quiz, says the text message, is paying attention to the college and draft status, not the 76ers career. That's the key. See, I agree with you. As soon as I give the college out, I feel like anybody who knows anything about the Sixers or basketball gets these guys. Now, I'm one of those guys that just remembers colleges. I know where all these guys went to college. So as soon as I hear the college, that gives it away to me. You know, Tim Frazier, I'm Penn State, knew it. Just as soon as I said Penn State, I was like, he's going to get this. But that hasn't been the case. I know PT, that wouldn't help you out, would it, Peter?
You could say the college, you could say the position, you could say the height. I'm not that
I could
guy.
give you the first initial, the last initial.
I'd get a few. I mean, you know.
Well, you get a few, which is no worse than what Josh has done. And Ryan, the first day, he was terrible too. In fact, I gave a clue that the guy was the 5th pick in the draft, and he told me KJ McDaniels.
Oh, boy. I just know I was listening the other day, and I remembered that there was another Furcon. I remember Furcon Aldemir. I remember that.
Oh, wow, you did?
I did, yeah, because I think I was working. Wasn't I working at Sportsnet at the time? Wasn't I up at CSN Studios?
I don't know. I haven't followed your career that closely, Peter.
Oh, well, thanks, buddy.
You've been all over the place, 40,
True.
CSN, where else?
KDUH-TV, K-Duh. That's where I started my career. Michael loves that when I,
Did you get a watch from all those places?
No. Got my one watch going strong, though. Just keep changing the battery.
Tuesday with Thompson PT here. Binge watch Tiger King, did you?
I did. I heard my brother from another mother, Colin Thompson, trying to sell you on it the other day, and
yeah, I'm out.
You casually were like, "Yeah, sure, I'll get right to it."
No. I didn't say I'll casually get right to it. I said I am out on that.
I mean, come on. His take on it was excellent too. That he's not the guy that follows everybody. When everybody's watching something, he's not going to be that guy. But I mean, geez, when everybody's watching him, Michael, can't you even take a sample and be like, all right, let me see what they're talking about?
Normally I might be like, you know what, I have some intrigue, but everybody's watching this and all of it is just like, total train wreck. And I'm just like, you know what, I don't want to say that I went down the road of the train wreck. I'm just not doing it. At this point, it's like, I haven't been to the movies since whatever year People versus Larry Flint came out. That's the last movie I was at. And now it's not because I think the movies stink or I don't want to go. I've heard the theaters are very updated. At this point, I'm just not going just because I've come so far. That's the Tiger King now. I'm just not going.
People versus Larry Flint was 1996.
96. You know where I saw it, Peter? The Morgantown movie theater down on High Street. It was like a twin, it was like a 2-theater place, and you could buy beer in the movie. They had waitresses that came down, they delivered you a beer and popcorn, and I still wouldn't go.
That's cutting edge, I've watched a few things since we talked last week. I watched Escape from Alcatraz, the original, with Clint Eastwood, and that was gripping and exciting, and there's some stuff I've come across that I hadn't seen before. I finally got Michael, my girlfriend's son, to watch My Cousin Vinny. He'd never seen My Cousin Vinny, and we had it, and we had it DVR'd off not like CMT or IFC or anything like that, so it had all the curse words in it, and it was excellent. I mean, of course, Marissa Tomei's never looked better, but I hear you're watching The Americans. I got you in on one.
I am. Now, I guess you recommended one, but I got some recommendations on that. And then I had said I was kind of on the fence. Like I had only gotten like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I said, it's 6 seasons long. I'm just not grabbed yet. Should I keep going? And McMullen was the one he said, you got to keep going. You will be, it's riveting. You've got to stick around. So last night, after not watching it for a couple of days, we fired it back up last night, and I'm happy to report that I think I'm in now. I think it's grabbed me. I think I'm along for the ride.
Nice. What was it in the episode that got you? Do you remember?
Well, I'm at the episode. Do you remember this at all?
Yeah, I watched all 6 seasons.
Okay, but how long ago was it that you saw it? I mean, this was from 2003.
Right, I saw it first run, but I mean, I've got the information in front of me.
2013 was it, or 2003? 2013.
No, 2013.
Okay, so it's the episode where, the 2 KGB spies, they get taken in, and because they think there's a mole.
Right.
And so they need to bring them in. So they both fear that these FBI agents are questioning them, and then they go face to face, and they're like dunking their faces in the water. And then finally the woman that was in Sneaky Pete, the mother from Sneaky Pete, comes out, and she's like, all right, that's enough. And they find out that, the KGB brought them in because they thought they might have been the spies.
Right.
So
it's great.
Yeah, and then the young girl that was the KGB agent, she's getting information by, some sexual favors.
Yes, it's a little racier than you would expect for over-the-air television, correct?
A little bit, yeah. And then they brought the resident guy back to Russia because they found, like, the guy. Do you remember the Russian guy went to get the tea, and they put the diamonds in his tea?
I do remember that, yes.
So that was the episode that I was like, all right, this is picking up. Plus, I really liked the FBI guy because he was in one of my favorite movies, The Truman Show.
Yes, that's Noah Emmerich. He's outstanding in the entire series. He plays Stan Beeman, and his evolution as a character is outstanding. Plus, I mean, the use of the music is really, really good in it. Kerry Russell and Matthew Rhys that play the husband and wife, they actually ended up in a relationship because they shot this show together, and they're now together. And
really,
I think that plays off on screen, their chemistry and their tension and all that goes with it. So, yeah, they're together.
So last night we watched the first episode, and then it went right into the second. Now, I'm watching on Amazon Prime. It's not quite Netflix. It gives you like 3 seconds of sometimes they'll actually show a commercial for something else, which kind of gives you like another 30 seconds to be like, all right, we're going to watch. So we went to the second episode, and then that was the second one, and that one kind of pulled us in, and now we're like, all right, I probably could watch a third, but it was like 11:30.
It's outstanding. So you watched the pilot, the clock. Those are the first 2 episodes.
I'm up to I think tonight would be episode 7 if we turn it back on tonight.
Fantastic. Well, I just think it's really, really well done. Every time, and they launched it, each season was 10 episodes. So every time it would come back, I was completely in. I would DVR it, and then I couldn't wait to go back and watch it. And yeah, I mean, I think it's good writing. I think it's good acting, and I think and again, for you being the guy that's Mr. Music, for example, there's an episode, without giving any plot away, there's an episode where the girl, Kerry Russell, right, who plays Elizabeth, she's being given some orders, and she's not sure whether or not she's going to do them or not. And I'm sitting there thinking in the background, is that Peter Gabriel? Am I hearing that? And it was the song "You Do What You're Told" by Peter Gabriel.
Okay.
And it's just used so expertly in the scene. Little stuff like that if you pay attention, not just because it's 80s and that's when I grew up and it's fun to see, like I said last week, the tab cans or the 80s Camaro, and plus some of the Russian, and plus some of the girls are hot. I mean, come on.
All right, Pete. Well, now that you let the cat out of the bag, why you actually like the show?
Well, that was just the last thing I had to close with, but I digress. Enough about me. Let's talk more about you. Do we have our music winners yet, by the way? Did that at all?
I was not running the bracket, so I don't know where that stands at this point right now. I think Josh was in charge of that, and the last I saw, the final results have been there, but they were not updated. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I saw. Okay, just checking. All right. Well, what else we got cooking today? We got
there's a lot going on. Actually, you would have enjoyed our earlier conversation with Ben Strauss from the Washington Post. He's kind of like a sports media guy. So our question that we asked throughout the show that a lot of people were chiming in earlier, and it's interesting. I'm very interested in the reviews, that the answers that we're getting here. So would you rather have sports back ASAP but no fans in the stands, or have everything just kind of wedging in all at once? Because we had Gill Caps on yesterday. I know you love Gill. The Masters Sunday could be up against an NFL football game now.
Yeah, but I mean, that's better than no Masters. I think several people have said that, and I feel that way too. I mean, as it stands, the Open Championship isn't going to be played at all, but they're just basically reversing the entire pattern now. And now instead of being first out of the gate, the Masters will be last out of the gate. So, yeah, is it ideal to have the Masters up against the football game? Absolutely not. But I'd rather have a Masters than no Masters.
Absolutely. Now, if you had a Masters Sunday and Tigers coming down the stretch up against an Eagles game, where are you going? I'm
DVRing Tiger, I guess, and I'm watching the Eagles game and then going back and watching Tiger, I suppose.
Well,
that's the
possibility of what could be coming down. Now, I find it also interesting. You know, I'm much like you. I'm kind of like a sports media kind of geek with like all the networks and all that kind of stuff. So is the Masters going to get pushed to CBS Sports Network?
Oh, no, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a great question because of NFL football. That hasn't been addressed yet, I suppose. And again, I'll take any Masters over no Masters, you know. But yeah, you would think that football would be king, right? The contracts would have to supersede.
I would be shocked if you know, the Masters are on CBS and you got the NFL getting pushed to like True TV or one of because like the NCAA tournament, you get True TV, you get TNT, you get TBS. I mean, I guess the Masters could go to one of those.
I mean, unless they do it in such a way that, you know, it's not CBS's national weekend, and the Masters used to only pick up at 3 o'clock anyway.
Yeah.
Then they started to move it back to like a 2 thing, but I guess
then you're up. Then on the flip side, you got the Masters up against the Fox game of the week.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, you have to make some tough choices.
Right, but that's that's the concession of this question is, do you want all the sports back at the same time, but fans can go back? And I don't even know that that's going to be the case. That, you know, do you think the Masters in November, that fans are going to be allowed there? I hope so. I mean, do you think NFL games are going to have fans? I mean, this baseball story, they're talking about playing games in May out in Arizona with no fans. So that's kind of the precipice of the question. Do you want games with no, like, I know you're not a wrestling guy, but the WrestleMania was tough to watch the other night with no fans there.
Right. No, I actually, I'm not a wrestling guy, but I stopped for a while and watched WrestleMania from MetLife previous when that was on the other night, because I said, you know what? Mike Gill's inevitably going to ask me some sort of wrestling question, and I got to watch a little of this to figure out why everybody still follows this. And my girlfriend's son had a very simple answer, that if you're a father and you have a son, completely it's no big deal. But if you're a grown man and you're still into it, he had to question your loyalties. That was his take on the whole thing. That, you know, and I've heard you call it soap opera for men before, you know, the writing and the heel and the turn and all that stuff. But, well, I think I saw a little bit of, what was it? Roman Reigns was the thing that I was watching.
Now, see, you watched one of the, like, ESPN was airing old WrestleMania, so that's what you were watching, right? Now, you saw essentially their Super Bowl. So you got to see the entrances, the pageantry of the entrances. That is something that like there are different reasons why people watch it, none of which include that you think it's real.
That's true, right? But you thought it was real when you were a kid.
Well, when I was
that's
5,
why,
I mean, everybody did. It wasn't until, you know what happened, why Vince McMahon and the WWE finally said that it was scripted.
What? Why?
Was because so that they didn't have to go and pay the athletic commissions to pay to run the arenas. That was an expense that, because they said we are an entertainment product, they no longer had to pay the athletic commissions to be there, and that saved them a whole heck of a lot of money. And like right now, it's one of the reasons why they were still able to do stuff is because they don't have to get passage by the athletic commissions to run venues.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense then. I mean, not that Vince McMahon doesn't have plenty of money and that he can afford to spend it around.
Right.
Save $1 here and there. I guess that makes a lot of sense.
Well, no, it was just because like they can run any venue they wanted to. They can get around doing a lot of different things. They didn't have to have the athletic commission, you know, clear the athletes, quote unquote, because they're no longer quote unquote athletes. Now they're actors. So they didn't need all these guys to be cleared and, you know, concussions and all that kind of stuff. Like they don't need to get, you know, pass through all that kind of stuff because the athletic commissions aren't sanctioning these as athletic events. They're now entertainment products.
Well, makes sense to me. Look, I found it to be interesting. I got an idea of why some people could follow it fanatically. But to get back to your core question, which is, do I want to see an event with fans or do I want to see an event just, which way would I go? You know me, I tend to answer too quickly. And my quick answer was, well, I want fans to be there. But as you dive into it and say, we all think that any return of sports is going to come without fans, most likely, first and foremost. Don't we all agree that?
Oh, no question. I mean, if baseball comes back in May, they're going to play with no fans and most likely the entire season. If the NBA comes back, we talked a little last week that there was a report that Atlantic City was on the list. It's most likely would be Vegas, but it's going to be a quarantine spot. There is going to be no fans watching NBA playoff games, and it's going to be very awkward. Same with hockey. Have you seen the report that hockey's talking about playing in North Dakota?
I did see that, and I saw, the report that came out today where Gary Bettman said completing the regular season may not be possible, which, that kind of makes sense. Like if they were just to jump from the playoffs with what the seeding was at the time they went out, just so they can get 8 playoffs in. Their biggest goal, they want to try to award the Stanley Cup. They've said that repeatedly. North Dakota. I mean, geez, why don't you send them to Western Nebraska, where I started my career?
Well, Grand Forks, North Dakota, apparently has a venue that is, not quite NHL arena, but it's very, they do juniors there. They have very high-profile hockey tournaments in this venue, so they feel like the venue is up to par to play NHL games at.
No, that makes sense. I mean, look, Grand Forks is where University of North Dakota is, and that Ralph Engelstad Arena was built with money from this guy, Ralph Engelstad, who was a huge Blackhawks fan. And in fact, at one point, it was like it basically was the Trump, to bring that name in, opulence of all hockey arenas. Every bathroom had a Blackhawks logo on the toilet paper holder. Every door had the Indian head on it because they were the Fighting Sioux. And then there was protests, and I don't know, now they're called the Fighting Hawks. They had to change their name from the Fighting Sioux to the Fighting Hawks just to be able to continue to receive the money. And then they were worried that the Engelstad Trust wasn't going to keep giving them the money. That's why that building is so nice. Yeah. Now that you mention it, it all makes sense of why Grand. They essentially are the one place in college hockey that isn't like Hobie Baker Arena in Princeton that seats 3,000. It's Engelstad Arena that could host an NHL game. Absolutely.
Yeah, no. Sportsnet New York, Sportsnet Canada, was the one that basically put the report out there, and I had read it that said basically Grand Forks was the place that they are looking at, and that the reasoning was that the arena there, or the building that they have, was basically this world-class arena. And I mean, it's not a big place, but I mean, it's suitable for potentially getting back, which is interesting because 1 hour ago, a third player on the Avalanche has tested positive for COVID-19. But a lot of this is contingent on them having testing up to speed by then.
Yeah, I'm looking up some stats on that arena too. 11,643.
Well,
the Concord.
There's not going to be any fans, so you could play at the friggin' Flyers skate zone over there in Atlantic City if you wanted to.
You could, but it has an NHL-style scoreboard. Here's the big thing. It has 8 NHL-ready locker rooms with separate coaches' locker rooms and 2 ice sheets all under one roof. In other words, you could have multiple games going on the same day with morning skates, team practices. They could have a bunch of teams go in there as a round robin. I mean, where the skate zone, my God, can you imagine an NHL player having to tie his skates and get ready on the hard wooden bench and the nails sticking out of the cinder block?
No, I can't. That's why Grand Forks sounds much more attractive right now. Now, the NBA has come out and they said they would like to crown a champion by Labor Day weekend. So you're looking at September 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere around there. So, hey, the fact that people are starting, it feels like we're on the right path of getting something going.
It does. And then, of course, you watch the I don't know if you saw any. Well, you're on the air probably for Governor Murphy's press conference today, and it looks like we're going to have another 30 days of the same restrictions that we have now. And in my other job where I'm going to school, it doesn't look like I'm going to be going to school with anybody anytime soon. So, it's a mixed bag here where you get some good news and then, it's followed by bad news. Although when we talked about baseball a minute ago, did you read the article that I read about where Major League Baseball, or where they were taking a look at what was going on over in Korea?
Yeah.
And how specifically, did you see that yesterday about how they had thought the coronavirus had passed and they were getting ready to play baseball again?
Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago. They started back up, and then they kind of but it was in Japan.
South Korea.
Yeah, Japan.
Yeah, and South Korea was over there. And ESPN had a big article up about how that may be the pattern that Major League Baseball has to use to follow post-coronavirus.
Yeah, well, a lot of that was a couple of weeks ago when they didn't, now they have much more, well, no, not right this minute, but they're hoping by May that apparently Governor Cuomo in New York had, said that there's a vaccine that they're working on that's like an antibody thing that they can get ready, and, hopefully that could get to scale very quickly. They're hoping between now, which is April. Keep in mind, we still got 3 weeks left to April to get through just to get to May, and I don't think they're going to start playing real regular season games in May. I think you won't see regular season. May might be like the model of getting it off the ground, playing a couple of preseason exhibition, spring training type of games, and then playing regular season games in like June.
I think the biggest thing too, and I read this article pretty deep on South Korea and how they were much more stringent and much more quick to restrict movement to ensure that people had masks on, and they in other words, they were able to flatten the curve a lot quicker than. And their numbers have actually been going down, whereas, of course, the U.S. numbers just keep going up and up.
Yeah, well, they're starting to flatten in some places. Hopefully that continues. And, look, if you told me May, the framework is in place, and June, we're back up off the ground, I think we'll all take that.
I'll take that, 100%.
In the meantime and in between time, Pete Thompson, I'm going to watch the Americans. What are you going to?
Well, I'm wrapping up my West Wing. I've got Ozark in the queue.
You still haven't gone Ozark yet.
I haven't gone Ozark yet, but it's in the queue. It's on. I added it, on Netflix. You can add it to my list. It's on my list. It will be watched. Plus, I'll keep enjoying blasts from the past that I can finally convince Michael to watch. Another one in there that I don't think he's ever seen, that's one of my personal favorites, is A Fish Called Wanda.
Oh, I went White Man Can't Jump this weekend.
Oh, that's not a bad one at all.
Yeah, Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez. Oh, baby, you're so stupid. When she goes on Jeopardy, because she's like a Jeopardy savant.
Yeah.
What
is the food category that she goes to?
What is the food category?
Yeah, what's the category in Jeopardy that when it comes up on the screen, Woody Harrelson's like, oh, she knows 7 different, what is it?
Why do you have to ask me one that I can't get?
Come on, man.
Foods that begin with the letter Q.
Yes. What is a quince?
One is quiche, right?
Yes. You just start ripping off, and the guy next to her who has a horrible hairdo, he's looking at the other guy around her like, oh, how does she know all these? Remember, the first clue was like sports, and it was like, name this football player. She's like, Babe Ruth. And Woody Harrelson says to Wesley Snipes, well, she doesn't know sports all that well.
Right. But then she ends up cleaning it up. That was a good movie. I can't believe that movie's that old. That was 1992.
Holy, I know. And remember, he has the Nike. I had the Reebok pumps. The Reebok pumps were like the real pumps. Nike made their version of the pumps, and they were terrible. But in the movie, Woody Harrelson's wearing the Nike pumps. And the one scene where Wesley Snipes says, hey, why don't you try this? And he pumps up his sneakers when he bet him $200 that he could dunk the ball.
Right, and he can't.
He couldn't, yeah. And that's when he lost the money. He had to go back to his girl and say that he lost the money gambling on that he couldn't dunk.
Foods that start with the letter Q was an actual category on an October 1997 version of Jeopardy.
Okay, here's a question that I asked Josh earlier. He didn't get it. Somebody texted in if we gave the answer yet. We didn't. So I'll ask you, Pete Thompson. 2 Eagles were named as the greatest NFL player ever to wear a specific number. Now, Reggie White was number 92, okay? What
Yeah.
other Eagles jersey number was that guy considered the greatest to ever wear it?
Let's see here. My instinct tells me to go to what Tommy McDonald's number was, but I don't know if I'm right. I thought he was 25. Is that right?
That is not correct.
Damn.
But you're
I'm in the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I have a second guess?
You can get one more guess because I'm running out of time.
How about Norm Van Brocklyn's number 11?
No, he was not the greatest number 11. This one should be easy because this guy played a position in which he wore an obscure number for that position back then, which was number 17. Harold Carmichael. Not too many people wore 17s. In fact, the honorable mentions of the next best 17s was Dave Craig and Phillip Rivers.
Oh, please. Harold has to knock them all out of the park.
Yeah, well, he just made the Hall of Fame this past year there, PT.
Yeah, and I saw his tweet today about Tim Brown. That's a shame that Timmy Brown passed away. That news came out today about Tim Brown, the receiver.
Yeah, I saw that. That's unfortunate.
Not bad on a sad note or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
you really brought me down here. All right, Peter, that's enough.
I hear Josh laughing.
Yeah. All right, Pete Thompson, Tuesday with Thompson.
Thanks, buddy.
In the book.
That was fun.
Yeah, we'll
watch the Americans.
I'm going to keep going.
I'm going to get to Ozark. I'll let you know.
Please do.